Okay. All right. Good morning, everybody. It's me, Stefanie Nici, and I am here today with author Nicole Mullaney. How are you today, Nicole?
Hi, Stephanie. I'm good. I'm doing well.
Good. Today is the first day of fall. Did you know that?
Yes, I did actually. um, Fall is my favorite time of year, so that's one of the things that I pay attention to.
Mine too. I love the fall. That's why I have my orange blouse on today.
Oh,
I mean, it's
perfect.
not
I
like,
love
oh, I'm
it.
like my orange blouse. Like I only have one orange blouse, but I mean, orange is not, I guess, a very popular color in people's closets.
Right, very true.
But I do like the color orange, and I only wear it in the fall because orange is a fall color, right?
Absolutely.
Orange and brown. I love those colors.
The dark
So,
greens, the dark reds. I love all
yeah,
those.
the
Yeah.
golds. Yeah, fall is just such a great time of month, great time of the year, the season, the clothing. And do you feel a little creative, a little bit more creative in the fall, or no?
I do. I feel like, yeah, because I feel like kids are back to school, everybody's, back on their schedules. And I feel like I have so much on my mind that I need to get out.
Right, exactly. And it's a good way to pour it out with
There's
your
just not enough
writing.
time in the day.
And so I know what you mean. And with summer, sometimes it's like so busy. There's like, so even though the days are longer,
Yeah,
um, it seems like we're limited on time for some
I
during the
agree.
summer, right? A lot of
I absolutely agree.
activities and stuff like that. But yet come the fall, it's like that cozy time. It's like book time. It's a good time to
Yes.
write, a good time
Well,
to
book time is all
read.
year, but
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, to get away from like the busy summer, like when you're doing things with the
absolutely.
kids and stuff like that. But yeah, book time is definitely all year round. So let me ask you this, because I know you are a big lover of romance.
Absolutely.
Do you remember the first romance book you ever read?
I can't remember the name of it, but I remember the female MC, and her name was Aurora, and she was a really strong, independent woman. I don't know, there was something that drew me to it, that I really loved it. It was actually, ironically, one of my dad's books. He always loved romance, and I loved reading. So I grabbed one of his books one day and started reading it. So
I do know that you used to watch romance movies too with your dad, right?
oh,
He a
absolutely. We would
romance
read
lover.
books together. We when I started reading more romance books, we started reading books together. We always watched romance movies together. He was definitely a romantic, to say the least.
Yeah, I think it's like a good feeling. It's like a happy feeling when you watch and read romance. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons I like it so much. I love all kinds of books. I will read about anything, but one of the things I love so much about romance, it's a great way to be able to escape um, reality. And I'm always looking for the HEA. I'm a big fan of the happily ever after.
me too,
So
me too. Would you say a majority of your books are happily ever after?
yes.
Okay. And well, that's great. You know what? I was talking to a woman the other day. I had gotten into pickleball.
Yes.
So we haven't been able to go as much as we would like to, but a few weeks ago, I was chatting with a woman and we were talking about books, and she said she only reads, happily ever afters, because I guess everybody needs a boost. Everybody just wants to be happy. There's so much serious stuff going on in the world.
There's
Do we really need, I guess, more serious stuff? But sometimes I tend to read both. I mean, I like a happily ever after, but at the same time, I'm a mood reader. So sometimes
I
I
am too.
tend to maybe lean towards something a bit more serious, or something, like that's happening at the time. Like some people don't want to read what's going on in the world at the time, but I find sometimes I like doing that.
Yeah, I do love those kind of books too. It's I feel like I have to be in the mood for those kinds of books,
Yes, that's
whether and I there's so many different kinds, historical ones, but that do bring some of that in, dark, even dark romance, or I like those. I really like any kind of fiction, and some nonfiction too. I really like, just as long as it's well written, I like a good book.
Yeah, exactly. If it's well written, if it keeps you interested,
Absolutely.
I think a lot of readers out there could probably read anything and they don't realize it. If they just find a book that they usually don't read, but it keeps them interested, they can stick with it.
Yes,
Because a
absolutely.
story, right? A story is a story, and we all love a good story, right?
Absolutely.
Do you remember, other than romance, do you remember the first book you ever read? Or a book that really triggered you and said, wow, I just love, the
I
feel of a
was
book.
always passionate about reading. When I was younger, I read, of course, like all the Ramona Quimby books, and Judy Blume. And I remember I read the most of the Sweet Valley High series, when I was younger. I loved any kind of book. I don't know. I just wanted to always read. I
Right.
liked something funny, something, I did like the drama, of course. I like the Tom Sawyer's, the Huck Finn.
There's so
Yeah.
many. So would you say when you were in school, like I know me, my best subjects, like what I excelled at was spelling, reading, grammar, like anything to do with writing. Would you say that that's the same for you?
That was easy for me. Like, I felt like anything to do with writing was really easy, that I loved those classes. I did well in school in general, but I had to, I worked harder in,
Maybe math? Did you have to work harder in math, or are you good at math? Because I suck at math.
I
Math, anybody that knows me knows I can add and that's about it.
I actually, ironically, I did well in math and science, and I did like them, but I had to work harder in them for sure. But I did like them. Science was, I really loved, and it interested me, but that was, probably, I had to work the hardest on that.
Right, right. Now, we got together, I'm gonna say maybe 2 months ago,
Yeah,
right? And we had lunch at the shed.
that was so much
Um,
fun.
wasn't that great? I can't wait to do it again. And Elisa Klinger was with us, and Jill Shannon, 2 other authors, and it was just such a great day.
It
Everybody,
really was.
we got together and we got to like learn a bit about each other. But we're so limited on time when we go out that there's still some things that I'd like to know. Like, when did you know you wanted to be a writer?
I honestly, I honestly always wanted to be a writer, but it was something that I didn't pursue for the longest time. In a sense, at least the creative side, I guess you would say. I did journalism in high school. I was a editor of my yearbook. Um, in college, uh, I did some script writing. I did a creative writing class, a ton of creative writing classes, and things like that. But then I ended up with a degree in, my first degree, in public health, and child and youth care. Um, and then I also, when I was in college, I went to Disney on a college program, and I got a degree from Disney University, which is just a semester long degree,
Oh,
um,
wow.
in managing and communicating.
Oh,
Um,
very nice.
and then it was not until, it was one of those things, I love writing, but I can make it part of what I do, but I didn't think I could make it what I do. Um, and
So at
I
that point, though, did you say to yourself, I'm going to write a book one day? Like
I
when
always
did
wanted
you,
to. It
and when
was
you
one of
say
those
always, do you
goals.
mean like elementary school? Like, was this a dream of yours when you
Literally,
were like
I have
super
written
young?
stories since I could hold a pencil in my hand.
Yes,
I have
yeah, that's me too.
stories, they're terrible when you're really little, but it's fun, and it's creative, and it's perfect for that age, and I remember getting an award in 8th grade for something that I wrote. It's it was
Yeah.
always something I wanted to do. And even in college, my English teachers are like, you need to write. This is, I remember, being told that over and over and over again.
Right, right.
And of
It
course I
was
did all kinds of writing. I
right.
did,
It was like it was meant to be. But now,
yeah.
do you remember? Like I remember when I was really young. I mean, when I was young, children, there was no preschool, and you didn't have to go to kindergarten, and you wouldn't like fall behind because
Okay.
it was just all different back then. So I didn't go to kindergarten, but I do remember, and I write about this sometimes. My parents had got me. It was a book, and it came with a 45 record. Do you remember 45s? Vinyl
I
records?
do.
Or
I do. We have, it's funny because I remember I had older siblings. So, well, an older sister, and my parents had, my parents had some of those records with books that you could read along with too.
Oh my God, those are so great. Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. A book that you could read along with. And I had Cinderella. And also, when I was a kid, we used to have these little, like, came in a box with a handle, and it was a record player. There was a turntable in there, and you could travel and take it anywhere because records were so big when I was
Right.
a kid. And we had record shops. Oh, just wonderful, wonderful memories. So I would play the record. The first one was Cinderella, and I would play the record and read along with the book. And then you'd hear a bell, like a ding,
Right.
and it would tell you to turn the page. And that was before I even went to school. So I learned to read at such an early age, and I was an only child. And I didn't go out a lot because we lived in like a really secluded area. So my imagination, I guess, was my best friend. But I do remember writing a story. My very first story. I was very much into horror when I was a kid. Did you like horror when you were a kid?
I liked thriller,
Yeah,
I would
thrillers.
say,
Okay,
but but
thrillers.
not necessarily horror. I do
Right.
like horror. Like The Shining is one of my favorites. I love the creativity of that.
Right,
It
right.
really
Stephen
depends on the
King,
story.
right? Stephen King.
Absolutely.
He writes some great stuff. But horror now, anyway, is like so different than it was back then. Like now it's like very bloody, very gory. When I was a kid, horror wasn't like that. It's more like, I guess you could say, like a thriller. But the
Mhm.
first thing I ever wrote was about vampires, because that was like, even then, vampires was such a big thing. Now we have Twilight, but
Right.
vampires was a big thing then. That was the first thing I wrote. And I think it was like a page long. And again, I was super young. I just don't remember how young. Do you remember the first thing you wrote? Like even on like a story, short story? Do you remember?
I
Or-
always liked interaction with people. I do remember several of the stories I wrote when I was younger, even if I always, it was, even if it was the age that I was at, it was always looking at the relationships of different, of people and how they interact, and, something to do with that. So I was always drawn to that when it came to writing.
Right. And let me ask you this. So since you were drawn to that, the interactions of people between people, would you say that you understand a lot of why people maybe do or say the things that they do? Do you think as a writer and as a people watcher that you have a little bit more of sensitivity or understanding when it comes to that, since you write characters? And
I
well, you never really
I
thought about it.
try to, that's for sure, but I don't know, everybody's different, and that's one of the things I try to look at when I look at my characters, because every character reacts differently to a situation, what they've been through, every experience they've had in their life, who they know, how they were brought up, everything affects them and how they react in a situation, and it's always going to be different. And that's one of the things that I think I try to focus on when I'm writing too. It's not, it's funny because you'll get the comments, oh, I can't believe she did that. Why did she do? Well, and it's funny because I'm like, well, that person with everything that's, with all of this that's happening, that's how that person is going to react, especially because they have this type of personality and they've had these experiences. And
Right.
it's just everything that you do and experience throughout your life really affects you. And I think of it that way.
Well, and I also think that's effective writing. If you shake up the reader a little bit, because you don't want it to be predictable. You don't want the reader, especially an avid reader, because readers have a tendency of being able to guess what's going
Absolutely.
to happen, right? When you watch a lot of movies, you know what's going to happen, or at least you can guess. But every once in a while, you get that, that wow, that I can't believe it, like, plot twist. So the same thing with a book. When we read books, we tend to try to figure out what's going to happen ahead of time. So if you're not doing that in your books and you find that your readers are saying, but why did she do this? Or why did he say that? They're expecting something else. And you're giving them something that they are not expecting. And I think that's great. I think that's such a, yeah, that's a big wow factor with writing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely fun. And you have free reign. You can do whatever you want, make people say what they want, your characters say what they want. So do you find that a little bit of you is in some of your characters, or maybe the main character at times?
Well, yes and no. It depends on the character, but there's I feel like no matter what, it's your writing. There's going to be a piece of you in it. It may not mean that it is you. I mean, but you write what you know, and whether it might be through research, it might be through observation, it might be through experience, it might be yourself, it might be someone else.
Right.
It's all different kinds of things. But like I said, yes and no. It depends how you think about it.
Right. And when you wrote your first book, was that the book that you intended on writing? Or were you, like, in the past working on something else and thought that that was going to be the book that you would release?
So when I released my first book, it was funny because after my kids were born, after I had my daughter, I applied to a writing school to refresh my creative side of writing, because I'd been doing so much technical writing between when I graduated college to until my kids were born, like grant writing, marketing. Like I did a lot of educational brochures and pamphlets and programs, and just
You just love to write.
so I
Write anything.
I did,
Right?
yeah, I did it. I did a couple. I did some scripts. I did some, news article, different things. But I worked for Good Sam for 6 years. So I was there.
Oh, I didn't know that. The hospital?
Yes.
Oh, wow. See, that's something else. That's something I just learned. I didn't know you worked for Good Sam.
Yeah, I was there for 6 years. I was their health educator, and I also worked with all the employees. And I did the new employee orientation, and I worked with guest service and as well. So I worked with everybody pretty much.
Wow, that's interesting. It's especially interesting to me because we're on Long Island, and Good Sam, if you've been lucky enough to have to go to Good Sam, then you get a connection there. And so yeah, I definitely got a connection there. But yeah, I didn't know that. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, so that was my health background. But again, because of that, and I had the strong writing, so I did a lot of the writing and and presenting and different things like that. But
So you were saying you took some courses to refresh,
I took some
right?
creative. I applied to a writing school and got in. It was a program, and I took it. You do it all online. It's all online and by mail, and it took me about 3 years to finish, and then I started writing my first book.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
So
you didn't have a book in the works
I have
at
tons of books
first.
in the works, and I always have. It's one of those things, but it's funny because I had all these stories and parts of stories and different things, but I actually ended up going in a different direction. I had this other, we spent a lot of time in Maine, and I went in that direction. And actually, I have to admit, my Nicole Mullaney books were not my first books that I wrote. I do also
Ah,
write under Nikki Lamers, which is adult romance. So it's another side of romance, but so that was
for
where
adults. So let me ask you this. So the first book that you wrote and released was adult romance. under Nicole
Lamer.
Mullaney. Nicole Lamer. Wow.
Lamers. It's
That is-
actually the name on my original birth certificate. So it's still me. It's just
oh, that's interesting too. That's interesting too. I didn't know that. So that was your first book, and that was before you signed up for the writing class?
that was after.
That was after.
Right.
Okay. So, and you started, so that was the first book. The first book that you released is indeed the first book that you expected to publish, right? After taking the class
Although
anyway.
not necessarily the first book I thought I was going to write originally, because, you know, you write, when you like to write, you write a lot. And I had a lot of different stories and directions that I was going to go. And then I went a completely different direction when I first
Yeah.
finished.
Something just pulls you
Yes.
in a certain direction. A few months ago, I started writing a story. I like stories and movies about writers, and I don't feel that there is enough of that. I really enjoy it. And I started writing a story, and the main character is a writer. Then summer came, and my husband and I went to the North Fork, and we stayed in Greenport, a beautiful, beautiful place. And I just looked around and I said, this is some setting for a wonderful romance. So I put the first story on the back burner with the writer, and I started working on the second story, which is the story that I'm working on now. But it's funny how sometimes you can visit someplace or have, an event takes place or some kind of experience, and that'll like kind of direct you into the right. It'll change what you're doing and what you're thinking at that time, and it'll just like pull you in a totally different direction.
And it's funny too, because when I said that I have a romance series that I wrote based on a place we went to often in Maine, somebody goes, really? Maine is where all the horror movies are coming from. I actually know some other romance books that come from Maine too, but I thought it was ironic that somebody had said that, and you just
yeah, I think that's funny too. So now, when did you decide to write under Nicole Mullaney? How did that come about?
Well, what happened is my daughter's a performer. She likes to sing, dance, act, and she has a director, Candy Kane, that she worked with, and Candy had read one of my books, and she had read one of my books and was like, we need to work together. And she came to me and said, okay, we have this budget, this is our budget, this is, we want to do a Hallmark style Christmas movie. What can we do? And we brainstormed an outline of Ivy and Mistletoe together, and then that was definitely, it's obviously with the Hallmark style a Christmas movie, you're gonna definitely want to go more, you want to keep it clean and
right.
And everything, and I didn't feel like it was the same audience.
Right.
So like I said, these are the kinds of books and movies I used to watch with my dad. So I love it, and it was as well. I mean, he read both like me, but Candy and I had worked together though to do like I said, the outline, and then she wrote the script, and I was script advisor for the film, and
that's really exciting.
Yeah, both on and off set, and then I wrote the book as well. So,
did you ever think, since you always wanted to write a book, did you ever think that you'd be actually seeing your work acted out on screen? I mean, that's that was what many writers' dreams.
That's what was really cool, because that was something I couldn't imagine at the time. It's like something that would be a dream. I would love to be able to see that. I can't tell you how many times you think about, you create these characters in your head and to see them come to life.
Right. Yeah. It's a dream come true.
Yeah. So, but in, like in this sense, it was a little bit different too, because it wasn't an individual project. We did work together to put the story together, and everything. So.
Yeah, but that's really exciting. I mean, that's totally different. That's, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
to work with someone, whether you work with someone or you work alone, to see what you created on screen. I think that's fantastic. So where can everybody see that? Where can we watch that?
Ivy and Mistletoe and Joy and Hope are both on Amazon. I believe Ivy and Mistletoe is on the Up TV streaming service. We also have 4 that I believe are coming back to PureFlix in November.
Because of the holiday, I guess,
Because
because they're holiday based, right?
Yeah, because they keep them along with the seasons. So, and I believe 3 of the 4 books that I have out will be also going to a DVD or Blu-ray eventually too.
Ah, that's so fun. And now has your daughter acted in any of these particular
Well,
series?
she was had a small featured background in Ivy and Mistletoe, but she had a principal in Deck the Heart. She played Shira Stein, a guest that came into one of the parties, and she is in one that I'm not writing coming up in November as well. And she was one of the leads in that, along with
Ah,
some
that's so exciting. So now let me ask you this, because since you write books and also now they get translated into films, do you find there's a big difference from the book to the film? Because I know as
No, not in the sense, because we do work together, so it's not one of the things. I look at the script, but she looks at the books. We both do give each other suggestions, and we, if there's something we don't like, we would, but it's hers. She, like I said, she's the script, and I do the book, and it works. I mean, I do have
yeah,
probably more scenes, and I say scenes because it's the movie as well, in the book, because you always have more details in a book than you do on film.
right. But more or less, you guys follow the book a lot.
Yeah, but each one has been different. Like Ivy and Mistletoe, we worked on together. There's the Maltese Holiday. She wrote the script first, and I edited, and then I wrote the book. So there's there, and then I do have ones that I've written that she wants to turn into film, so that we're not discussing it. So we're kind of going in every direction with it. It depends. Like sometimes, it's all levels, I guess you would say.
Right. So this is something that you're just
First.
going to keep on. This is your career now. This is what you're going to keep on doing. You're going to write books. You're going to work on films. Right?
Absolutely.
This is a dream. This is a dream come true for so many people. That's what we aspire to be. Writers, and then to see our work even on film sometimes. And you're doing that. So that's fantastic. Right? A long time ago, it's like, just a dream, and then it all starts to come together. It's funny how the pieces just, click, right? Like you wrote that first book, the adult romance, and then somehow you ended up, did you tell us how you started writing the clean romance?
Well, that was because of the films.
That was because of the films. You had to change.
Honestly, when Candy came to me, to work on Ivy and Mistletoe, it wasn't Ivy and Mistletoe at the time. We came up with that. We met at for breakfast, and we outlined the script during, the story. We outlined the story during during breakfast and came up with the title and names. And
Yeah.
so
That is a lot of fun.
uh,
I saw on Instagram you were gifted a nice chair.
I know, isn't that fabulous?
That was, I've seen,
I was so
yeah,
excited about that.
that really was something. And I think that was such a great gift,
Me too.
right? And now you have your own chair. And on your Instagram account, I see, clips and stills from the movie and the cast or the
And I try to
movies.
right, I do clips, stills. I try to do some background, some of the crew, the amazing crew, amazing cast. There's just, I can't even tell you how much fun it was to work with everybody. It's
I
just
could see that in the pictures. Everybody looks so happy and nice, and yeah, it just looks like a great environment
absolutely.
to be in. And I guess too, since the stories are so happy and positive, it just gives you that kind of happy and positive feeling, right? Like the endorphins kick in, and because everything is just so nice. And yeah, I like that. I love seeing those pictures. I can't wait to see some more. As
Yeah.
a matter of fact, when our chat is over, don't forget to include your links so other people can check out your Instagram and talk about see what we're talking about for themselves. And I think, don't you have someone named Cody?
Yes, Cody Calafiore. He was the winner for Big Brother All Stars in season 22. So that was I mean, he's obviously been on Big Brother a couple times. He's a great guy. He's a really talented actor. I've worked with him several times, and I just he's on two of my covers actually.
Oh wow, look at that. So for you Big Brother fans out there,
Absolutely. If you're a Big
yeah.
Brother fan, you know who he is. I've also worked with his brother Paulie some, but Cody I've worked with a lot, and he's a great guy, a talented actor. He's in both Ivy and Mistletoe, and he was in the Maltese Holiday. He's on both of those covers, so that's also a very fun thing to see, to have him on the cover. And he also is in Joy and Hope as well, but he's not on the cover of that one. My daughter's actually on the cover of that one with Candy's daughter.
Oh, let's see. Do you have any covers right now with you? I'd love to see.
Yes, I have all my books behind me. Sorry.
No, that's great. They're in, arm's reach.
Yes. But I have Ivy and Mistletoe was the first one, and that's Cody and Julianne Michelle who starred. And
Nice.
this is Cody's other cover.
Hold it up. Can you hold up just a little closer? Like just, yeah, so we can see it. Oh yeah, look at that.
And that's Ashley Brinkman with Cody.
Very nice.
And then I have Deck the Heart, which is Ashley again, and then Joe Kirak.
I have that one. I started that one.
And then Joy and Hope, which this one says it's by Ethan Dulaine. And what's unique about this, Ethan Dulaine is actually Andrew Rogers. He's the character played in the movie, that he plays Ethan Dulaine in the movie. So the book is actually part of the film and part of the story. So we had talked about using it, so it looks the same as the prop in the book, or the prop in the movie.
Yeah, that's I remember, yeah, when we went out to lunch too, you had mentioned that. I think that's incredibly interesting. As a matter of fact, we have a couple of viewers, and Maria also says interesting. It is. It's to hear what goes on behind the scenes, and how your life changes, and how from beginning to middle to to where we go. It's some journey. And Josephine says hello to you both. Hello, Josephine, and the other ladies that are on. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So where would you? So are you working on something right now?
Yes, I I'm working on Magic in Mount Holly. Sorry, the title had changed a few times, but that was, we actually filmed this one quite a while ago, and then we have coming back to it, and that's supposed to be coming out in November. So on November 1st, both the book and the movie should be coming out on the same day.
Oh, really? Wow.
Which is, yes, which is what we've been, and it will be coming out on Pureflix, of course. So I am working on that, and I do have another Nikki Lamer's book that I'm working on as well, but that's separate. So I don't.
How many books do you have altogether, would you say, under both names?
Under both names, I have 12 books that are published, because I have 4 with Nicole Mullaney, and I have 8 now with Nikki Lamer's.
Very nice. So then, and I just want to ask you too, because after you took your writing classes, or your writing course, or your writing class, and then that's when you put your mind to it and said, I'm definitely writing a book.
Well, I had the whole point of taking the course is I want to get it back in the creative mindset and make sure I'm back to the level I need to be at to write the book. So that was the reason I even applied to the school.
Right. So for other aspiring writers, while you were writing your first book, like how long did it take? Let me ask you that first.
My first book took a couple years.
The one that you published, the first one that was released.
Yes, because I feel like it wasn't just the book itself. It was also, you know, all the stuff that goes into afterwards, which is a lot more than you think, you know, from the editing, and it needs to be edited so many times. And I honestly go back to that one and I'm like, oh my gosh, that needs to be edited again.
Right, I know. There's things we don't pick up, and it's so funny because in the beginning as writers, we think all we have to do is write this story.
Right.
But once that story's written, we have no idea everything else that follows, right? You know what I mean? Like the biggest thing is, oh my gosh, I got to write this story. I got to write this story. And then when the story's written, there's editing, there's proofread. I mean, there's so many other things involved. You need a cover, you need a cover designer, you need it edited. So you need an editor. And if you're so new to this, you have nowhere to look. You don't know.
Right.
Right?
And there's not just a regular editor, there's the line editor, the content editor, the grammatical
developmental editor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, some editors though do it all. Like I know my editor, Gina Solomon, she does everything, which is great for me because I can just give her my book and say, you know, please do everything. So I guess there are other, you know, when not every editor covers every aspect, I guess there's a few editors involved. I don't know. Is that the way it goes? Because I just know about working with one.
Now at first there was, but I feel like mine didn't come together as nicely when, like for me, I've found someone like you that does everything, which I like. And
right.
I try to stick with that because I feel like they're able to, I feel like they help the story more, and as well as the book and the content and all that. So
I agree with that because every reader, because the editor has to read it too. So every reader perceives the story or characters in a different way. So if you have too many people involved in your book, you could get pulled in many directions, right? Because someone might see the main character in a certain light where another editor sees. Yeah. So I guess I wouldn't say that's not advisable to work with multiple editors. I don't know, like I said, because I only work with one, but I guess it can make things very difficult.
Absolutely.
Right. So how did you locate your editor for your first book? How did you find people? For anybody out there who's interested in writing a book or has written a book, like what were the steps that you took?
Well, I honestly, you start asking around. I talked to friends that were teachers. At the time, you know, it was mostly Facebook. So you put stuff out there, and you looked at companies. I looked up online.
It's hard because you could get scammed if you, right?
Absolutely.
If you connect with the wrong people, people tell you that they're editors or they're cover designers, and a lot of times they're not.
Right.
or they're just starting out. And so you really have to do your research. So you just can't go with anybody. And you
Right.
just can't give your money right away either, because a lot of times you have to leave a deposit because people don't want to do the work and then feel like maybe they're going to get stiffed out of the money.
Right, which I understand that completely.
Yeah, so that's hard. Right?
Absolutely.
We got to do a lot of research. So that's probably something good to do even while we're writing the book, to try to make these connections,
Absolutely.
right, ahead of time. That way we're not stuck at the last minute.
And then too, I mean, you also have the ISBN, which you need to be able to sell your book, which if you're with a regular publishing company, they help you with all that, just like they help you with the copyright. If you self-publish, you really have to look into which direction you want to go with that, because there's really a lot to think about when it comes to that.
There is a lot, because you could buy your own ISBNs.
Right, which I do now. And I didn't with my first book. I'm trying to think if I bought them with I think it was around my third, I started buying them, and I bought a package. And so now I have my own ISBNs. But
Right. Well, I guess when you know you're going to write a lot of books, I think that's a good way to go. In the beginning, I guess if you're unsure or just so green to everything, right?
absolutely.
Like when I first self-published, I went through Amazon, but I was happy to know that Amazon was going to provide me with the ISBN, because it was one less thing for me to do, because I had to do so many other things that I had no idea.
Right.
And like I said, I thought it was just, oh, you write a book. But yeah, once you write that book, you're like, oh, wait a minute, now I need it edited, now I need a cover, now I need this, now I need that. And then you can, go, I can't even think now. My head is going like this. And you could pick, you can have a pen name. You don't even have to use your own name. So there's like so many things to take into consideration on your journey. So if you had any advice to give to someone who is just starting out, what would it be? Like if somebody came to you and said, Nicole, I want to write a book, or I have this draft, like what would you say to them?
Well, I get that a lot.
Okay, there you go. So that was the perfect question.
I feel like, yeah, once you start writing, people do start asking you those questions. They just do, especially if you've come out with a book, and the more you come out with, the more questions you get asked. And I get that, because it's not easy to get started. But I think honestly, the biggest thing is write what you're passionate about. Write what you know. Do your research. If you're not sure of something, you do want things to flow, that kind of thing. And make sure you don't just edit your own book, even if you have friends look at it, because
There's things you miss.
You are not the best editor for your own book.
Right. And I think too, if you're not an editor, you're really not the best editor for anybody's book. Right? When you agree? Because there's certain things that editors look for that we don't know, right? That we don't know. And then I know Beth Warsdell talks about this a lot. When we write something, the way we think about it in our head, we may not translate it, on the laptop or on that paper. So when we reread it, we read it how we perceive, how we're processing it.
Exactly. That's true.
And then somebody else reads it and tells you, oh no, this word is missing, or this, that, and you're looking at it and sometimes you don't find it. And you're like, but I don't get it. What are you talking about? Because you are processing it in a totally different way, because it's playing out in your head, right?
One of the things, right, exactly. You know what you wanted to say. So you may skip over things and not even realize you're doing it.
Right.
One of the things I was always taught when I used to do editing, and I do some now, but as well, but we were always taught, if you read things out loud, sometimes.
Yes, you catch a lot that way.
You'll be able to see what's not working and what's not working.
Right.
Those kinds of things. So
I agree with that. And some laptops like mine, it'll read aloud for me.
Which is great.
Even though I love that. So even though the voice, But these are things also, like I think I have a different laptop from book one, or maybe not. I don't know. I've been through quite a few laptops. But I do have the read aloud, and I think it helps a lot, even though it's like a robotic kind of voice. It really helped me out a lot with certain things. So, and it's nice to hear back, and you can close your eyes and let the laptop or computer talk back to you, and you could just picture the story as you're being told the story from the robot or the computer, whatever you call it.
Right.
Right? It's like you're being told a story, which I think is pretty cool. So Maria asks, do you do your own editing?
I do several drafts of my own editing, but I always send it out after I do that. And then I will look at it again myself. And sometimes, depending, I will send it out again.
Right.
Get it back. So yes, I do, but
To a point.
I still send it out.
Right. Because there's things you can miss.
Absolutely.
But I think too, like with the more books an author writes, the better they can be at editing their own work, but up until a point, because I feel everybody has their job, like the cover designer has their job. But I really give credit to the ones that do it all. Some create their own covers, they edit their own work, whether they send it out to beta readers or however they do it. And these things are expensive. Not everybody can afford an editor.
And that's one of the reasons I said, if you can't use, an editor, send it out to friends. That's, it's just try to use friends that are, maybe teachers, or that they read a lot, so they may be good with content, or they like your kind of like that style
genre,
the trope or the genre. Absolutely. You just friends can be very helpful too. So and just be open to listen to what people have to say too. But be careful when you're listening that you're listening to advice on, I guess, the reason I say be careful is because someone that may not like your genre or your trope, or the trope, and they're looking for something, maybe they want a different type of story. Make sure it stays your story, and you're only listening to an example. I had a friend that gave me some great advice. This is a good chapter, but you don't really need this information. They don't need to know that. But I needed to know that to write the story. So what I did is I literally took 3 chapters, and they ended up being 1 chapter.
Okay. So you condensed it.
And I took out a lot of it and just left it in my notes because I needed that information to write the story, but it didn't need to be there. And she was right. And it was great advice. And I do think there are those circumstances, and you just gotta be open to listen to them, because
exactly. And it's not always easy to, when people maybe are a little critical of your work.
Well, that's why I say you want to make sure people are open to reading either all types of stories or your specific, if they're not open to your specific type of book, it's a lot harder for someone to read and edit for you in content.
Sure, yeah. I can definitely see that. So, what is another question I like to ask writers? When you finished your first draft, when you got to your story to the point where it was the end, do you remember that?
Yes.
How did you feel?
It was such a good feeling, and you're sitting there by yourself like, oh my gosh, I want to share this with everybody. But
yeah. And for me, it was such an emotional time because I was like, I can't believe it. I'm done. Like, it's,
overwhelming.
What a wonderful, wonderful feeling. So that's like one thing that I will never forget as a writer. When I finished, when I was that last page, that last word in that last chapter, that is something that will stay with me forever. And do you have a forever, or is that your forever? Do you have a memory that will stay with you forever?
I honestly think it's just the day I released my first book. and I was able to share that with my parents. My dad, like I said, we would read a lot of romance together, and we write a lot of romance together, read and watch movies. And then when I came out with the first book, he was, they were both very proud of me, don't get me wrong, but my dad, he had read the book, and then I lost my dad. He passed before I had a chance to talk to him about it. So I think that's.
Oh, Nicole, I'm sorry,
But
but he got to read
he
it.
was so proud of me, I mean, and even after I read it,
I
so
bet he was. I mean, that's so special.
and it was, but that's definitely my moment, is just sharing it with them.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that. And that was something you guys did together, read and watch romance stories. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
That's a really lovely note to end on also, because that's a wonderful memory. It was so great to talk to you, Nicole. It's been a few months. I can't wait for us to get back together again and have some lunch or some dinner and talk more books.
That sounds wonderful.
And is there anything you want to let everybody know before we say goodbye?
Like I said, we have all the movies will be on PureFlix, as well as you can get all four of these 4 books now, and we do have another one coming out on PureFlix on November 1st. And then there's a couple movies that are going to be coming out that I've been a part of too, that I didn't write the book for, all on PureFlix. So
that's really great. Okay, so that is definitely something we have to look forward to. I can't wait to watch one myself. I told my husband all about it, and we definitely want to check them out. And thanks so much for chatting with me today. It was so great seeing you.
Thank you, Stephanie. It was really great to see you too.
I can't wait till we get to do this again. And so now, will you write today? What's your day looking like?
Absolutely. Everybody's gone, and got up early, got everything done I need to get done. So now I'm ready to write when I'm done with my interview. So.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Excellent. So now don't forget to add your links to the comments, and maybe some comments we missed along the way, and we may get some, because we're getting, viewers on and off, different viewers, the same viewers. And Maria said, that is lovely. The story that you shared with us, she said, is lovely.
Oh, thank you.
It really is lovely. So for us to see or read your work, Nicole, add the links, and that way we can find it. And I can't wait to watch one of your movies. I think it's going to be great.
Well, there candy cane movies. I want to, definitely.
You want to emphasize that? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I can't wait to watch a candy cane movie that you had something to do with. So me and my husband will be definitely doing that soon. And all right, so you have a great rest of your day. It was such a great talk, and I really enjoyed catching up, and I learned a few things about you that I didn't know. So, and that's what life is all about, and I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot more too. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you soon. All right.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.